Go to live.
Door तीन
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We warmly welcome our guest of honor, Shri Arvind Singh Ji, Secretary of Tourism, Government of India.
ऑन कर दे तीन चार ऑन कर दे
ठीक
चांस की बात है, उसके ड्राइवर को टेलीफोन किया
है।
वो कहते पहुंच गए।
वेरी गुड।
चांस मेरे को बात मेरा होता था, बड़ी दिक्कत लोग ये
अब क्या कर सकते हम, आप क्या मोमेंटम। एक मेघनानी सर हाँ
5-10 मिनट रुक जाए, 5-7 मिनट रुक जाए।
For that, you'll need to connect to a Wi-Fi network and install a SIM card first.
ज़्यादा पनीर देख रहे हैं।
कोई और
आपका कोई अपना अगर कॉल करो, आपको इसी नंबर पर कॉल कर सकते हो। एक मिनट या मतलब एक मिनट मैं सर आपको ऑनलाइन पेमेंट कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? आप मेरे को शेयर कर दें। आप मुझे व्हाट्सअप कर दीजिए ना मेरे इसी नंबर पर शेयर कर आप नंबर लिखिए ना, आप लिख लीजिए, मैं फोन पे 9799 गली में जाओगे ना, ये गली में जाओगे ना, यादव जन्नत हो रहा है, आपको मैं मोनू होगा वहीं खड़े हो ना, हाँ तो आप नहीं देते मैं आपको पे कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? कितना 331 रुपये है ना, तो आप मुझे एक बार व्हाट्सएप पे मेरे को शेयर कर दीजिए। मैं आपको फोन पे हाँ मैं इसको मार दीजिए ना उसी नंबर से।
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we are now ready to begin with the proceedings of today's seminar. And I have the proud privilege in inviting on stage our guest of honor, Sri Arvind Singh Ji, Secretary Tourism, Government of India. A warm welcome to you, sir. May I invite you to kindly grace the stage. Inviting Sri MP Ved Barwa, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. Sri Ajit Bajaj, President, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, also Padam Shri awardee. Mrs. Jyoti Mayal, President TAI and Vice Chairperson FAIT, warm welcome to you, ma'am. Inviting Sri Vinod Zutshi, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. Lieutenant General K.M. Seth, former Governor of Tripura and Chhattisgarh and President FAST, and Sri V.P. Agarwal, Vice President FAST. I would request everybody to kindly have their mobile phones put on to silent mode. Thank you. Namaskar and good morning. Guest of honor, Sri Arvind Singh Ji, Secretary Tourism, Government of India. Eminent dignitaries on the day, special invitees, senior officials from the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture and State Tourism Departments, professionals from the tourism industry, representatives from policymakers, service providers, infrastructure developers, major airports and airlines, Ministry of Road Transport, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Shipping, Inland Waterways, respected members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the inaugural session of the seminar on India's G20 presidency, a golden opportunity for India tourism, which is being organized by Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism FAST with support of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to witness India's holding of the prestigious G20 presidency for the 18th G20 Summit 2023. G20 is going to be utilized to position India as a major tourism destination during its presidency, promoting India as a must-visit tourism destination under the banner Incredible India. As envisaged, G20 will be the government's main area to establish India as a key tourism destination during its year-long leadership. Ministry of Tourism is partnering with central ministries and state governments to organize Global Tourism Investors Summit, and that the event will be a platform to showcase investable opportunities to potential domestic and global investors. It is in this context that the Foundation is organizing this seminar to supplement the ministry's effort. And today we are honored to have amongst us the esteemed presence of eminent dignitaries. I would now request Lieutenant General K.M. Seth, President FAST, to do the honors of welcoming dignitaries with floral bouquets. We welcome Sri Arvind Singh Ji, Secretary Tourism, Government of India. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I would request on stage to welcome Sri M.P. Dev Barua, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. And may I request on stage to also welcome Sri Bajaj, President ATOI, Padam Shri Awardee. Thank you, General State, for being honored. I would request Sri D.P. Agarwal, Vice President FAST, to welcome Mrs. Jyoti Mayer, President TAI and Vice Chairperson FAIT. Warm welcome to you, ma'am. I would request you, sir, to kindly do the honor of welcoming Sri Vinod Sutchi, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. Agarwal, sir, to kindly do the honors. I would request Mr. Agarwal to welcome Lieutenant General K.M. Seth. And may I request General Seth to also present a bouquet to Mr. Agarwal. So that's the customary welcome. We would like to welcome you also. And ladies and gentlemen, as is customary, we begin every auspicious occasion by lighting the ceremonial lamp, invoking the gods and goddesses, seeking their blessings to guide us for the success of our endeavors. I would now request all our dignitaries to kindly do the lamp lighting and formally inaugurate today's seminar. And let's put our hands together on the ceremonial inauguration of today's seminar.
This time you should press it. Sit, sir. You start. It is melting.
And I guest of honor during the honors of lighting the ceremonial lamp and formally inaugurating the seminar. Bring the honors, General Seth. Lighting the lamp, Mrs. Jyoti Mayer, President TAI and Vice Chairperson FAIT, Sri Vinod Sutchi Ji, doing the honors. Desvarvasa, lighting the lamp. Padam Shri Awardee, Sri Ajit Bajaj Ji, doing the honors now. Vice President FAIT, Mr. Agarwal. Thank you everybody for kindly doing the honors for lighting the lamp and formally inaugurating the seminar organized by FAST. FAST, the Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism, a non-profit research body since 1992, is duly registered with the International Civil Aviation Organization. Primarily concerned with promotion of civil aviation and tourism, it acts as a facilitator between the industry and the government to flag off contemporary issues and concerns of stakeholders and help in taking a balanced view approach in decision-making process. Dr. S.S. Sidhu, former Secretary Civil Aviation and Secretary General ICAO, was the founder chairman FAST. It's presently headed by General K.M. Seth, retired former Governor of Tripura and Chhattisgarh, as its president. Lieutenant General Seth, PVSM, AVSM, former Governor of Tripura and Chhattisgarh. is presently the president of the Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism. He's a very capable and highly decorated officer of the Indian Army. He brings with him a vast managerial and administrative experience. And ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting General State for his welcome address. Let's put our hands together to welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I wish to apologize on behalf of the Honorable Minister of State Tourism, Shripad Nayak ji, who for some very important commitments at Karnataka is not able to join us today. We are very sure he will make it by last night, but he is kind enough to send a message which will be read out to you little later. Our guest of honor, Secretary Tourism, Shri Arvind Singh ji, Shri MP Bez Barwa, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India, Mr. Vinod Jutsi, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India, Srimati Jyoti Mayal, President TAI and Vice Chairman FATE, Shri Ajit Bajaj, President Adventure Tour Operators Association, and Mr. VP Agarwal, our Vice President FAST, and distinguished trustees and distinguished guests and delegates who have taken effort to join us this morning. I welcome you all to this seminar. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you at this seminar on India's G20 presidency, a golden opportunity for India tourism. It truly is a golden opportunity. It's the first time India will have an opportunity to showcase itself as to how far it has moved away from the normal perception of snake charmers, bullock carts, elephants and whatnot. The G20 comprises the most powerful nations and important nations of the world. And very rightly, the government of India has taken a decision to hold meetings throughout the country, remotest of place like Agartala. They had a meeting. It is only just about the chance once in 20 years that you get this opportunity. And I am very happy that India is taking full advantage of this. Ministry of Tourism, in collaboration with central ministries and state governments, will be organizing Global Tourism Investors Summit. And that event will be a platform to showcase investable opportunities to potential domestic and global investors, and providing marketing, tourism promotion and networking opportunities. In addition, the seminar will also focus on creating awareness of all the stakeholders, projects and programs being undertaken by the Ministry of Tourism during this period. India's tourism sector is one of the largest service-oriented industry, and with the 2 years of COVID-19 lull, there couldn't have been a better chance to jump up, take a leap forward in the tourism, which is quite visible when you compare the domestic tourism and international tourism numbers from just about last year. Gentlemen, the new generation of their tourists is very discernible, and he just doesn't want to travel. He wants to experience something which which focuses him to come back and back and back. That's what the sustainable tourism is. You can't fool him. And it is in this light that the Honorable Prime Minister, after the budget, has made one very pointed urge the nation and the states to develop 50 destinations, independent destinations. When I say independent destinations, I mean when you say, let's go to Phuket, you don't say you go to Thailand, you go to Phuket. Likewise, if we develop, and we have the capacity, we have the wherewithal, it's only the will which is missing, to develop such 50 destinations which will define India and its incredible strength on this subject. The tourism has been a high priority industry, and the experience continued growth and diversification to become one of the best pillars of our economy, not only in India, worldwide. Tourism has become an industry which is sustainable. Take Mauritius. It's nothing but the tourism industry which is sustaining that. While I leave all these issues to be deliberated upon during the seminar and discussions and questions, we do for love of it. And that is why I request you, do please consider utilizing the resources available with FAST. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for those warm words of welcome and setting the context for today's seminar. And ladies and gentlemen, as already announced by General State, Honorable Chief Guest today, the Honorable Minister of State of Tourism, Shri Shripad Yeso Naik ji, could not be present here, but he has been kind enough to send us a video recorded message, which we will be playing for you now. Can we play the video message, please?
Namaskar. Ji, for the Governor of Tripura and Chhattisgarh and President, Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism, Sri Arvind Singh Ji, Secretary Tourism, Government of India, Sri MP Bajavarua and Sri Vinod Dushiji, both former Secretaries Tourism, Government of India, Sri V.P. Agrawal Ji, former Chairman, Airport Authority of India and Vice President, FAST, and other eminent speakers, dignitaries, guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a matter of great pleasure to know that the Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism, supported by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, is organizing a seminar on India's G20 presidency, a golden opportunity for Indian tourism, on 26 April 2023 at India International Center, New Delhi. It would have been my profound privilege and honor to be part of this seminar in person, but due to some contingency, I am unable to personally come and share my views. However, I will do so through this clipping. A nation deeply committed to democracy and multilateralism, India's G20 presidency would be a watershed moment in history, as it seeks to play an important role by organizing Global Tourism Investor Summit, and that the event will be a platform to showcase the invisible opportunity in India to potential domestic and global investors. The government's main focus are to establish India as a K-tourism destination during its year-long leadership. The group of G20 is a premier forum for international economic cooperation. It plays an important role in shaping and strengthening the global architecture and governance on all major international economic issues. India holds the presidency of the G20 from 1st December 2022 to 30th November 2023. During this period, India will showcase its century-old architectural heritage to G20 delegates by hosting excursion and gala dinner at many of the ASI sites. G20 summit is expected to host over 200 meetings and conferences in over 50 destination locations in 32 different sectors. This will help in raising the awareness about the India's tourism potential at global level. The primary object of GTIS is to attract global investment into the Indian tourism and hospitality sector, along with investment in tourism infrastructure, technology, skill development, startup, and much more. One of the government estimates indicates that the foreign tourist number could reach 15 million in 2024, contributing more than $30 billion in earning. I thank the foundation for providing a platform to policymakers and different forum and tourism association to share your views and concern and come to an understanding to explore the opportunities for enhancing the tourism activity in India. I would like to have the feedback so as to take necessary steps on the suggestion that emerged from the deliberation. I wish the seminar a great success. Thank you very much. Jai.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we would like to convey our gratitude to the Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the privilege of having with us today Sri Vinod Zutshiji. He is the former Secretary Tourism Government of India, has 35 years of leadership experience in public policy,
Shetji, former Governor of Tripura and Chhattisgarh, and President.
and has a long, vivid experience and exposure in the field of tourism, public policy and administration, management law, human resource development, and election management. Besides Secretary Tourism, he held many other key positions with Secretary Culture, Government of India, Deputy Election Commissioner, Election Commission of India, Secretary Civil Aviation, Government of Rajasthan. An alumni of Harvard Kennedy School and MBA from Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University, is now the profession of providing consultancy and advisory services in the field of travel and tourism. And ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Sri Vinod Zutshiji for his address.
Honorable General State, Shri Arvind Singh, Shri Bez Barwaji, Shri Ajit Bajaj, Shrimati Jyoti Mayal, Shri V.P. Agarwal, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I welcome our esteemed guests on behalf of the Foundation. We express our gratitude and thanks to the Honorable Minister of State, Shri Naik, who despite his busy schedule could take time off to convey his message on this occasion. Sir, your blessings and thoughts will help all of us to achieve the desired objective of today's seminar. I am also personally thankful to Shri Arvind Singh, Secretary Tourism Government of India, for coming to the inaugural session of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, FAST is a non-profit organization in the domain of aviation and tourism, acting as a think tank for promoting, disseminating, and deliberating in the areas of tourism and aviation. And it has been a privilege for me to be a part of the FAST family for the last almost 5 years. Friends, India's G20 presidency is indeed a golden opportunity to promote tourism in India. G20 is a premier forum for international economic cooperation, playing an important role in shaping global architecture and governance on all major global economic issues. The objective of FAST to select this topic for today's seminar is primarily twofold. One, to explore possibilities as to how India can leverage from the presidency of G20 by showcasing Incredible India before the G20 world. And secondly, how to promote investments in tourism and tourism-related infrastructure in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that today India is not only an economic global superpower, it has also built a strong soft power. And there is no doubt about the fact that India's cultural heritage and incredible diversities in tourism offerings and tourism assets are the biggest contributors to India's soft power. Friends, the process of showcasing India tourism to the G20 nations, in fact, has already started. And as we all know, tourism and culture are two of the 13 socio-economic focus areas identified for G20 presidency this year. And to take these agendas forward, G20 has constituted working groups on tourism and culture. Ladies and gentlemen, tourism working group meetings have been held over the last few months in the well-known tourism destinations like Run of Kutch, Siliguri and Darjeeling. In fact, Mr. Arvind Singh is the best person to discuss the outcome and to tell us as to how the desired objectives have been met and the achievements of these working group meetings have met the overall goals that we had in mind. Friends, at this point, I wish to compliment and appreciate the vision of our government to organize working group meetings of identified 13 sectors in different locations across India, from Run of Kutch to the west to Guwahati in the northeast, from Srinagar to the north to Thiruvananthapuram in south. The destinations include Khajuraho, Hampi, Udaipur, Kumarakom, Amritsar, Rishikesh, Jaipur, Goa, Varanasi, Mahabalipuram and Jodhpur, all of them being the star tourism destinations of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, how important G20 nations are for inbound tourism in India is proved by the fact that in the year 2021, G20 countries accounted for almost 60% of the total inbound tourism into India. And friends, if we include other guest countries who are being invited by India during its G20 presidency, like Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, Spain, and UAE, the figure of inbound tourism goes up to almost 80% of the total inbound tourism during that year. G20 presidency for India is also a great occasion and opportunity to promote tourism investments in the country, particularly with regard to infrastructure, including tourism infrastructure, accommodation, and aviation. Friends, it goes without saying that the efforts of showcasing India to promote inbound tourism and investments should not end with the conclusion of the summit meeting in September. The process of showcasing Incredible India to the G20 world has to be ongoing and must continue beyond India's G20 presidency. The basic objective is how India can make the best use of its G20 presidency for travel and tourism both before the summit and post-summit. In this context, I wish to list out certain points and suggestions, ladies and gentlemen, primarily to provoke thoughts and initiate discussions during the seminar today. Firstly, friends, India must strategize interactions with G20 nations at different levels, like government to government, G2G, government to business, G2B, business to business, and people to people, P2P. At G2G level, there are various intergovernmental issues which can be addressed, like visa, improved connectivity, and peace. It would also be a good idea if India enters into fresh bilateral MOUs on tourism with G20 countries, as India has already done in the past with a large number of countries. The joint working groups on tourism constituted as part of MOUs have also been a big success in the past, and it will be a good idea to constitute the joint working groups in the post-summit era with G20 countries. As for government to business, I suggest that there can also be an interaction between our government and the potential industry leaders and investors from G20 countries for possible investments. Friends, the importance of B2B between India and G20 nations also cannot be ignored. I remember that when I was Secretary Tourism Government of India, we went to Sri Lanka in 2016 for a joint working group, and both countries decided to bring tourism and aviation industry leaders on the discussion table at the meeting. I recommend that in addition to such initiative of governments to facilitate B2B interaction, industry chambers like CII, like FICCI, PhDCCI and ASSOCHAM must also initiate B2B meetings on tourism with G20 nations. Similarly, FAITH, the apex body of tourism associations, can also be instrumental to organize such business-to-business meetings. And friends, when I talk about people-to-people interaction, I am reminded of the unique initiative which the Indian and Chinese government had taken during the year 2015-16. When 2015 was celebrated as a year of visit to India by people of China, and the year 2016 was declared as the year of visit to China by the people of India. Friends, I was a witness to the positive outcome of this initiative, and I suggest that a similar model with G20 countries can be explored during the deliberations in future G20 tourism working groups. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to suggest some specific measures which may be considered by Ministry of Tourism. Firstly, Ministry could explore the possibility of launching an overseas Incredible India campaign for G20 countries. Secondly, during India's participation in various tourism events abroad, Ministry of Tourism and state tourism boards could also hold parallel investors meeting involving G20 nations. Thirdly, in order to ensure effective follow-up for tourism investments, Ministry could also think of creating a G20 desk for facilitating and handholding the potential investors of G20 countries in India. And lastly, I urge the government that they should launch the new national tourism policy as early as possible, and preferably before the heads of state G20 summit in September 23. Ladies and gentlemen, this would not only facilitate tourism investments in India, it would also place before these nations India's commitment towards green tourism, and India will establish itself as a leading nation in the field of green, sustainable, and inclusive tourism. Friends, while deciding the topic of today's seminar, we were also aware of the fact that Ministry of Tourism is planning another mega global investor summit sometime in the month of May. I am therefore sure that the deliberations during the seminar today on the issue of showcasing India as a preferred investment nation will certainly help in the forthcoming Global Investors Summit organized by the Ministry. I remember that when we organized a similar Global Investors Summit in 2016, it met with a huge success. In this context, I would also like to add that since 2016, government has brought many initiatives like 100% FDI in tourism, extension of viability gap funding, new civil aviation policy 2016, asset monetization initiative, PM Gati Shakti Yojana, and promotion of public-private participation in various tourism-related sectors. These initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, have created more conducive and more enabling environment for investments in India. I would also like to mention here that India is inviting a large number of G20 international organizations like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and also some guest international organizations like Asian Development Bank. The participation of these world bodies can also be leveraged for investments to develop tourism-related infrastructure. These organizations, ladies and gentlemen, have been investing in the past in various tourism projects in India. Friends, G20 is an economic platform comprising economically the most strong nations, and therefore focusing our attention on both short-term and long-term initiatives will help India to bring big investments into tourism, hospitality and travel sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I stop here, but before concluding, I once again greet all the dignitaries and guests attending today's seminar, and I'm thankful to this august audience for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, eminent guest, Mrs. Jyoti Mayan is President of the prestigious Travel Agents Association of India with over 2,700 members, Vice Chairperson FATE, Chairperson THSC under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Member on Board of ICC National Committee Aviation, Tourism, Hospitality, CII National Committee on Tourism and Hospitality, ASSOCHAM National Committee Aviation and National Committee Tourism, has been awarded innumerable times for her commitment and dedication towards tourism and is known as the strong voice of the industry. She was awarded the most influential person by NDV Profit and Outbound Travel Mart, and also as a young woman of substance and leadership award by the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Government of India at the Hospitality India and Explore the World International Awards. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I invite Mrs. Jyoti Mayan for her address.
Good morning, namaskar to all seated here. I'd like to thank the Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism, the eminent dignitaries on the dais, the eminent dignitaries of the dais. I think it's a pleasure being here and sharing my thought views with such people who've spoken before me. I don't think I need to add anything more, but as I've been given this little job to do, I think I would like to share my thoughts on how, what, where we are doing on G20. So today's discussion and address on India's G20 presidency, a golden opportunity, is truly which we are witnessing in different parts of the country. And I must thank the entire government and especially Ministry of Tourism and Mr. Arvind Singh sitting here, who's been very, very active, very, very prominent, and he's actually a doer. So I think that goes, the credit goes a lot to the Ministry of Tourism for giving in their best at this time. But in September, India became the world's 5th largest economy, displacing the United Kingdom, its former colonizer. Described by the International Monetary Fund as a bright spot amid a global economic slowdown. India's economy is projected to grow by 6.8% in the fiscal year, second only to Saudi Arabia and much faster than the G7 economies. India has emerged as the fastest growing major economy in the world and is expected to be one of the top 3 economic powers in the world over the next 10 to 15 years. Backed by its robust democracy and strong partnerships, this is as we head towards the USD 3 trillion economy. The USD 3 trillion economy, Indian GDP target will lead to up to 20 crore tourism jobs, driven by 100 million plus foreign tourist arrivals and 20 billion plus domestic tourism visits. The G20 summit is a forum for the world's 20 largest economies to come together to discuss and address global economic issues. It's an opportunity for countries to showcase economic powers and attract foreign investments. Over the years, many countries have used this platform to promote the tourism industry, and India should not be an exception. The G20 summit is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for India. The G20 presidency provides a strong platform for India to promote its agenda of developing sustainable and green tourism practices, spreading digitalization on the sector, encouraging micro, small and medium enterprises, expanding skill development and developing strong destination management organizations and practices at the local level. This event's sheer scale and significance makes it an ideal opportunity for India to publicize its tourism industry's potential. The G20 Summit is an international event that is being attended by prominent global leaders, including heads of state, diplomats, and businessmen. These influential people will have an opportunity to experience India firsthand, which could ignite interest in the country as a tourist destination. India is a land rich in culture, heritage, and diversity. Its vibrant culture, stunning landscapes, warm hospitality have always attracted tourists from across the globe. However, despite the country's potential, India's tourism industry has not reached its full potential. The country has been facing various challenges, including a lack of infrastructure, visa issues, and security concerns. To leverage the G20 summit, Ministry India needs to showcase its tourism industry in a manner that attracts global tourists. The G20 presidency gives India a chance to shape the agenda for global cooperation as the world emerges from the shadows of COVID-19 pandemic. The group's importance is reflected by its economic strength. Its member states account for more than 80% of global GDP, 75% of global trade, and 60% of the world's population. New Delhi is eager to project the presidency as an opportunity to underline its emerging status as a leading power. The theme India selected for its presidency is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a Sanskrit phrase that means the world is one family. All the while also pushing for its brand of reformed multilateralism. I would like to emphasize, tourism and aviation are siblings, and FAST is a part of aviation too. And we've been working together but we've been still working in parallel lines. With 52% of world travelers reaching the destination by air, their growth is intrinsically linked. However, economic regulations, taxations, and travel facilitations are the few major focus areas that tourism and aviation stakeholders should look into. Alliance between tourism and air transportation is very much a non-separable alliance. And it is very important to focus on aligning these two sectors to make places more accessible and affordable. We need to identify the links between tourism and aviation and set structures where tourism, civil aviation airlines, and travel stakeholders can work together. There's a dire need to extend the principle of liberalization to more and more countries, particularly in view of attracting long-haul markets and the importance of aligning tourism objectives with airlines' profitability and also structuring the travel and tourism fraternity and service providers. The protection needs to be looked into. Our principal focus should be to develop tourism for tomorrow by utilizing technology and the latest innovative solutions along with private partnerships to drive both industries. Post G20 and its impact is what we need to start focusing on now and no later. The tourism industry is a huge ecosystem of unique and complementary services with varied customer and deliverables. Tourism is one word with a huge value chain, and the needs and opportunities of each segment, like Ruchiji said, varies, and thus we cannot put all our eggs in one basket. We need a healthy, diverse portfolio of income generators to keep India insulated from global crisis. We need to increase our foreign exchange reserve coffers and not be complacent with what we have. Though currently we stand at a high of USD 578.778 billion in the weekend ended March 24, we risk losing a stable stream into our national savings by relegating inbound tourism to the deep background. Tourism earnings are not as dependent on trade laws and pacts. Tourism will not be replaced by ChatGPT, AI, and other aliens of technology which our software and business processing industry will be hit by. Tourism will not be outpriced by cheaper labor. India is already uncompetitive in manufacturing, exports, and also getting outpriced in business processing services. A lack of a long-term vision for hedging our risk is dangerous for the nation. We should be pumping more forest reserves from all our sources. Undermining tourism is not going to help us. It will only have an adverse effect. Indians spent 12.51 billion in the last fiscal year 22-23, a rise of 104%. 6.19 million foreign tourists inbound and more than 700 million domestic tourist visits happened across India. We do not let to have this window disappear and the display to be worn out. We needed to stay and we needed to continue. We need to continuously keep updating our marketing. We need to get this accelerated to the utmost. We need to encash the lost times and opportunities we have lost earlier to make India the largest hub for layovers, short and long stay travelers. We certainly need to focus on our regional tourism. We need to raise our capex, continue building the last mile connectivity, concentrate on safety, making India a round-the-year destination, and invest in skilling, including soft skills. With various streams which tourism relates to, wellness, weddings, MICE, adventure, rural, spiritual, fashion, food, culinary, and the list is unending. And so is India's beauty, serenity, customs, traditions, cuisine, heritage, history, and colors of India. I would just say the ministry needs to continue with the vigor and there cannot be a lapse. I see that, the continuity stops. I think there needs to be a vision beyond the entire setup of the ministry. I think we need to have a continuity process in the ministries more where tourism is concerned, because tourism is not a product. Tourism is a service that we provide to actually build our industry. And Ministry of Tourism needs to work totally on a private PPP model. I would go a step further to say, let the ministry be established in a private setup and become a fast-developing, result-oriented sector, as it doesn't need to trot but run and outpace every other aspect of industries. Because sustainability doesn't only come with products, it comes with the service providers, it comes right from the grassroots levels to the leadership roles. I'll just end by saying that it doesn't matter where we are nowhere compared to where we can go. And I would just end by that and say I wish fast a very successful day today and very fruitful deliberations to all present here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, gracing the stage is Sri Ajit Bajaj, who is the President of Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, has climbed the 7 summits, the highest mountain on all 7 continents, with his daughter, and is one of the few people in the world to have completed the Explorer's Grand Slam, which entails skiing to the North Pole and the South Pole, as well as climbing the 7 summits. Has served as a member of the Training and Education Work Group of the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, a United Nations World Tourism Organization, was chairperson of the Camping Policy and Caravan Tourism Policy for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Was invited to participate in the Champions of Change event with the Prime Minister of India in August 2017, is the Managing Director of Snow Leopard Adventures Tour, 4 times winner of the National Tourism Award as the Best Adventure Tour Operator. He is a Hall of Fame awardee of the Indian Association of Tour Operators and Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, and was also conferred the Padma Shri by the President of India in 2012. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Ajit Bajaj with a warm round of applause.
Sorry, we'll just get the presentation now.
Mr. Miklani, please help some.
Yes, bring. Respected Mr. Arvind Singh, respected General Seth, respected Mr. Zutsi, respected Mr. Bez Barua, Mr. Agarwal, my dear friend Jyoti Mayal, and eminent dignitaries. Each time I have been lucky enough to get to the top of one of the 7 summits with my daughter, I have often wondered about the state we are going to hand over this beautiful planet of ours, this magical blue marble,
to our next generation. The father of the Indian nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was an environmental thinker and spoke about conservation and natural resources much before terms like sustainability and zero waste gained currency. I quote, "What we do today is our future, the earth, the air, the land, and the water. They are not an inheritance from our forefathers, but on loan from our next generation. So we have to hand it over to them, at least as it was handed over to us." Adventure tourism can play a pivotal role in promoting his thoughts on sustainable living and attaining our sustainable development goals as a country. Having attended two G20 summits, this is at the Run of Kutch and in Siliguri, Darjeeling, I do feel this is a huge opportunity for our country, something that we are leveraging effectively and efficiently, and makes me really proud as a citizen of this country. Two people who really inspired us in India, especially in the world of adventure tourism, were Sherpa Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary. Not just for becoming the first people in the world to climb Mount Everest, but also because of the great work they did post-Everest. Tenzing Norgay was the field director for the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, inspiring generations. And Sir Ed did a lot of great work for the Sherpa people of Nepal, building schools and hospitals for them. While Sir Ed was the New Zealand High Commissioner to India, he really should have been the ambassador for Indian tourism and adventure tourism. In 1977, Sir Edmund Hillary led the Ocean to Sky expedition, jet boat expedition up the Ganges River from Ganga Sagar in the Bay of Bengal to Karan Prayag in the Himalaya. We had the very proud privilege of rafting him down the Ganga River on a couple of occasions. But this is what he said about incredible India and the adventure opportunities here. My thoughts turned to the, and I quote, "My thoughts turned to the expedition and the amazing experience it had been. The white sand and breaking waves at Ganga Sagar, the superb tiger in the Sundarbans, the vast cheering crowds in Calcutta. I could see the sparkling eyes of the high school children at Farakka, the incomparable waterfront of Varanasi. There was the wild water above Rishikesh and the great mountains above Badrinath." But it was not just our natural heritage that impressed Sir Edmund about incredible India. It was also our shining, happy people, our biggest strength. But it was a life-changing experience for Sir Edmund Hillary and his team, and I quote, "It had been a unique experience for all of us. We would never be quite the same again," unquote. Adventure tourism in India is not just a mind and body experience. We are an ancient civilization. It is a body, mind, and soul experience, an experience that transforms you. As a country, we are truly blessed as far as our natural heritage is concerned. This is Unmingla, which is just over 19,000 feet in Ladakh, the highest motorable pass on the planet. India is a biodiversity hotspot. We have every conceivable geographical terrain, 73% of the Himalayan range in our country, so much so that the World Economic Forum has ranked our natural heritage as amongst the best in the world. The term that often comes to my mind when I'm exploring this beautiful country of ours is SOS, Scenic Overdose Syndrome. In spite of being gifted with our natural heritage, sadly, our ranking on the Adventure Tourism Development Index is a dismal 96 out of 163. Adventure tourism does have an element of risk, and it has to be done properly. We have miles to go before we sleep. Our vision is to have India ranked as among the 10 best in the world by 2033 in responsible adventure travel. As per pre-pandemic projections globally, adventure tourism was a $683 billion industry. And as per the projections, it was to be $1 trillion industrially annually with a growth rate of 21% annually. Two aspects that are critical here. One, of course, is risk mitigation. Six Sigma was a process started by Motorola for the manufacturing sector where they could accept 3.4 defects per million. In India, we believe when it comes to adventure travel, we should aspire for 7 Sigma, where we cannot accept a single defect or a single G's when it comes to risk management, that's guides, gear, and guidelines. We are working on all three with our Ministry of Tourism and the other stakeholders involved. The Adventure Tour Operators Association of India has come up with the Indian Adventure Tourism Guidelines covering 29 verticals. And while we do follow the 7 principles of leave no trace in the great outdoors in letter and spirit, India, as you are aware, has adopted the Global Sustainable Tourism Criteria to the Sustainable Tourism Criteria for India. And we are adapting this for adventure activities in India as well. But we want to go beyond that. And our vision really is to have every adventure tourist in India as an ambassador for living life sustainably like we used to in the past as a country. These are the various stakeholders, and we are working with all our stakeholders to promote safe and responsible adventure tourism. Well, as far as our Ministry of Tourism is concerned, tourism is on mission mode, and I'm proud to say that we do have a dream team at the Ministry of Tourism led by Mr. Arvind Singh, and we can't thank you enough, sir, for the stellar work you've done. You've really helped us take a quantum leap as far as adventure tourism is concerned. And I'd really like to thank you on behalf of the entire adventure tourism fraternity. We have a national strategy for adventure tourism. We now have a national board for adventure tourism. We had our 4th meeting yesterday. We have a model law now coming up, which is on the anvil for adventure tourism. There is also a national board for sustainable tourism because as a country, we do feel that sustainability should be a part of every segment of tourism. Well, as far as the states are concerned, we are working with the state governments to promote adventure tourism. This can be a great vehicle for attaining their sustainable development goals as well. So we are suggesting to the states to list their potential adventure and nature areas and to come up with policies for adventure tourism. The idea really is that every operator for adventure tourism has to be licensed, and the safety guidelines have to be followed as a country. And skill development and loans for some of the entrepreneurs in the rural areas, especially for buying internationally certified equipment, camping equipment, and vehicles and so on, that is a must. And also to determine the carrying capacity of some of the adventure areas and nature areas in the country. As a country, we are keen to promote both the vibrant villages and mega trails. And this can also be a force multiplier for attaining our sustainable development goals. I think this scheme launched by the Government of India is a fantastic initiative. We are working closely with our government to specially promote adventure tourism in these vibrant villages, to be global models of sustainable tourism. Fragile areas, we should look at organic growth through soft adventure, nature tourism, and the local stakeholders must always be involved with the decision making here. And of course, the sustainable tourism criteria, a key priority, especially access to these areas. I spoke about some of the soft activities, but even astronomy and promoting some of the local village fairs and festivals and interaction with the Great Indian Army and the Tibetan Border Police would be a great way. One of the things we've suggested for the vibrant villages is that tourists going to the vibrant villages should park their vehicles maybe 3 or 4 kilometers before the vibrant village and then either walk to the vibrant village or with the local stakeholders and Spiti. And other than this is supposed to be a Buddhist monk, but there are some great treks also. This again is one of our vibrant villages in Ladakh, near village as well. And this will transform the landscape. I'm really pleased to inform you that the government of India has work is going on at a great pace to launch 2 mega trails in our country. These are going to be walking and cycling trails. So one of the trails, and we are grateful to you, sir, one of the trails is the Heritage and Nature Trail. We have a Western Indian Himalayan Trail, and this again will be a game changer for the remote regions of our country. A world-class experience curated by the local community. Sustainability will be key, and these are some of the future trails. We are looking at opening some new areas in the country, like the Nanda Devi Sanctuary, which was closed due to ecological reasons in 1982. Air-connected areas in our country, and capacity also will play an important role on as far as our launching our adventure tourism is concerned. The Snow Leopard Conservancy in Ladakh has been a fantastic initiative, and India as a country is perhaps one of the best on the planet for snow leopard tourism, and we have been able to combine nature, adventure, community, and conservation as a perfect blend. Initially, the rule of the great outdoors was take only photographs, leave only footprints. It's changed now. It's become take only experiences, leave a lower footprint, and happier communities. I'd like to end on a north latitude, the geographical north. Together, our big, hairy, audacious goal must be to have India ranked as amongst the 10 best tourism destinations on the planet in the next 10 to 15 years or so. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now with us, Shri Dev Barua. Sir, he was the Secretary Minister. He was also elected Chairman of PATA International and was member of Strategic Group of UNWTO. He served extensively in the Northeast and was made a member of NEC in the rank of MOS, and he has written 3 books on tourism and edited a 5-volume encyclopedia on fairs and festivals of India.
Respected General Seth, very distinguished colleagues and friends on the dais, the preceding illuminating speeches and the brilliant presentation by Ajit, I am speechless. If I think that I have something to say, that will be optimism. But we are waiting also to, lots have been said about the opportunities. And Sri Arvindji had written a beautiful brief article in Hindustan Times recently, summing our word to him to speak about what is being done and what is the future. So I don't like to really speak much. What I would do is that I am chairing the next session on investment opportunities that we are having. And it is a very important subject. And this afternoon only, the Minister of Tourism is meeting the CII group of people, industrialists and others, and also to explore the subject and to, as a prelude to the Global Investors Summit that we are going to have. Experts in the sessions that will follow perhaps will come up with good ideas, and so we'll be happy to share them with the government. I will just share a few thoughts
on the issue of the investment, primarily not about the opportunities so much which you have been hearing, primarily about how to go forward from here. The most important part is that we have a lot of, India's opportunities, India's potential, everything is well known. Now, how do you go about implementing things that will make it possible for us to achieve what we are trying to achieve? Very briefly, I will not even elaborate on these statements, I'll just mention the points. And first, I think, is that so far as investment is concerned, we have to identify what are the broad areas where we need investment, and then go into micro segments and prepare perhaps project and program ideas. For example, we'll need accommodation, we'll need investment in cruises, perhaps we need investment in MICE opportunities, civil aviation has been mentioned, adventure and leisure activities, things like Disney World and all. The ideas have to be translated into the projects and how opportunities. Secondly, we need to have a comprehensive look at the government has provided, but $1 trillion tourism economy that we are expecting and 100 million tourists to come to India. For example, I am giving an illustration. For example, will require tremendous expansion. For example, has been saying that fully supportive. And the tourism sector, what are the ways of doing business, has ideas, plans, and the policies. Most of the things that will make investment possible are, we have talked about convergence between the ministries, between the governments, about Arvindji perhaps will tell us also, will shape how we are going to get investment and all. Fourth, I would like to say, though we are looking at a global investment summit and a global investment, perhaps we have to be aware that foreign investments have a cost. On the other hand, at this moment, Atmanirbhar has been our pride. So we have to identify where do we want foreign expression. So that picture has to be set very clearly and properly. Next, I would say is that a proper information. Perhaps any investor would like to have not only all the facilities available, but the information. Information is a great problem for most of the people who are looking for investing something. We talk about single window, but single window, even if it's not available, single information platform, it will be immensely helpful. I would also like to say that the idea of the G20 has spread to different parts of the country. It has been brought across, it has been mentioned that to the length and breadth of the country. Investment opportunities, places around there. So it will have to be spread to the states. And there will be a great need for harmonization of the activities of the states and their initiatives. It may quite often happen that the states are competing with each other, which is a very good idea to compete, but the competition has to be on a harmonized nature, and that is something government of India. And these are only illustrations. So much more needs to be done, and perhaps Arvind Singh would tell us also that they are already on the way, but they all bear reputation. I am sure that the seminar also will come up with ideas we will share with the government. As Mr. Arvind Singh has written, G20 opportunities are not a one-time opportunity. It is an investment in the prosperity for the future, linking the emerging economic strength of India and the confidence of India with a group of people, a group of nations which have 85% of the global GDP and 75% of the global trade. And PM has incidentally and very rightly added the global south to this G20 group, which has expanded the entire horizon of the opportunities, and that has to be taken care of as a Boshidevokotibokam. For tourism, I think this is an incredible, I have written somewhere that this is an incredible time, incredible because I have called it the best of time and the worst of time. Out of the ashes, tourism has bounced back, and we have the best of time today. But we have tremendous problems also to face and addresses it. And this perhaps is, as I have said, that this perhaps is a tipping point for tourism, because never before had happened that the finance minister and the prime minister has taken the lead. Tourism will happen if the lead comes from the top. And there, it is going on a mission mode, and all the elements have been very properly and clearly identified. It need now to go into implementation of those ideas. Arvind Singh ji have given a lead. Unfortunately, we will be missing you, Mr. Arvind Singh, but hope you will be around somewhere to see that these things can continue. We will all best of wishes to you. It is incredible, really, that G20, which people like us did not know so much about, has suddenly become the lexicon of the common people of India. I think the government perhaps need to be complimented on making this wide sweep that has made G20 a part of the future hopes and aspirations of this country, and rightly that has to be focused. And I feel privileged to say that FAST and the industry, everyone will be solidly behind and with the government in this journey. And it's a very interesting journey that we have before us. So that from that point of view, this seminar we look upon this seminar as something which is very, very important, because it can give ideas and suggestions which can help in that journey forward. It's a great pleasure to have all of you distinguished. Thank you very much for your presence, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. I took more than 5 minutes, I suppose.
And ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor today, Shri Arvind Singh Ji, an IAS officer of 1988 batch, is presently Secretary Tourism, Government of India, having joined the position in January 2021. Prior to this, he held important positions such as Chairman, Airports Authority of India, Additional Chief Secretary, Energy in Government of Maharashtra, Chairman and Managing Director of Maharashtra State Power Generation Company Limited, and Maharashtra State Electricity Transmission Company Limited. He also served as the Indian Embassy Tokyo as Minister Economic and Commercial from 2014 to 17. He's also attended mid-career training courses at the Graduate Institute Geneva and Harvard University. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome our guest of honor, Shri Arvind Singh.
Before I start my speech, I will just show you 2 short videos from the Run of Kutch, which I had on my phone and we've been able to transfer to when we took the G20 delegates to the white sand at the Run of Kutch, very well curated by the government of Gujarat. And the second one, when we took them to Dholavira, which has been declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2021. And the Dholavira experience is unique because what had happened, connectivity to Dholavira was an issue. Now, Ajit, you were there on that. He was there. So connectivity to Dholavira was an issue. Bhuj is not a well-connected airport. The event was in Dhordo, tent city, and there was a direct road. So you have to take a circuitous route of about 4 or 5 hours to reach Dholavira, which has now been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A road was being built. That road would have taken normally 2 years, but full credit to the Gujarat government. They took advantage of the G20 summit and finished it in 6 months. A work that would have taken 2 years. So the delegates were able to travel, and that road is beautiful. There is a drone shot which you will see in the video. 25 kilometers almost through the white sand, because there's salt on both sides, and they've built it, and that road really improves the connectivity, and that just gives you one idea of the impact of the G20. For instance, when we went on the recce visit to Dholavira and the road was still not complete, the Sarpanch said, of the village said that when he gets online payments for some schemes or whatever on his phone under the beneficiary, he's not able to encash it because there's no bank branch in Dholavira. He has to go 100 kilometers somewhere to get cash. So that is the, hopefully with the road, bank branches will come there, tourists will come there, they will have cash in their hands in the village itself. They won't have to travel 100 kilometers to encash online payments. All right? What sound you Go video.
Coming from the west, it's amazing. It's so diverse. I'm learning.
As you can make out, the video was prepared by Gujarat Tourism. This is the road. This is the new road.
Site. It's beautiful. We really enjoyed the welcome. It's like the road to heaven.
Crafts and some technologies. I'm very impressed about the culture and the technology they use here.
It's something very special because I used to work with UNESCO, and this has just become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it's very interesting to see it, just to get the vibes of the old civilization, and it's wonderful to be here.
during the G20. One was the White Desert and the other was the Dholavira UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is in a very remote part because Pakistan is very close, it's almost on the border, and the connectivity was an issue. And as I told you about the story of the Sarpanch, but this is how the G20 is also helping the local economy. And now Gujarat Tourism is thinking of setting up a tent city next to Dholavira itself because there is no accommodation. So, you know, the visit is going to add. So, distinguished guests on the dais, Lieutenant General K.M. Seth, my former senior colleagues, Sri Vinod Zulshi, Sri Bez Barua, my colleagues from the industry, Jyoti Mayal, Ajit Bajaj, and Jyoti has the distinction of being the only lady on the stage. And of course, Sri V.P. Agarwal, who was my predecessor in the Airports Authority of India, and that is my connect with FAST. And I have been speaking at FAST events since I was in the Airports Authority of India. And since the topic is aviation and sustainable tourism, I think I'm an easy speaker that they can, lay their hands on for their events. So anyway, first you saw what we have done at the Ran of Kutch. Similar events the second working group has also happened at Siliguri and Darjeeling, which was in the month of April, and we had a very good response there also. And just before I start on my prepared speech, which is on how the G20 is an opportunity, I think I should also talk about setting the context. Recently, I was in Jaipur for the G20 Expo, and we saw inbound, tour operators come to India now after 3 years. So we all know what we have been through in the last 3 years. Especially the tourism and aviation and hospitality sectors were one of the worst hit. There were large number of job losses. There were large revenue losses, incomes were lost, jobs were lost. There was gloom and pessimism all around. People had stopped sending their children to institutes of hotel management because there were stories of retrenchment in many hospitality sectors. So people did not think this was a very lucrative sector. So there was a period of uncertainty and despair all around. But, the way our vaccination program progressed, the way the virus's spread happened. Luckily, all that is now behind us, and we are in a period of where people again getting confident because they are seeing the numbers, and especially the domestic sector has revived very strong. Some of these stories that most of you would be aware, but I can share with you the numbers. For instance, if you talk, the infrastructure improvement at certain places like Varanasi, that has resulted, according to the statistics given by the UP government, in a 10x increase in footfalls compared to pre-COVID and figures. Pre-COVID, they had about 70 lakh visitors in Varanasi. Today, the number is 7 crores per year, 10x. If you take Jammu and Kashmir, they've seen the highest ever footfalls in 75 years of India's independence. If you take the valley itself, the previous best was 13 lakh number of visitors in the valley. And mind you, these are all predominantly domestic travelers. International travelers have still not started going to Kashmir. So the previous best was 13 lakhs. And the last year, the Kashmir Valley number was more than double, more than 26 lakhs. So the highest ever in 75 years of independence. 50 flights are almost landing every day in Srinagar, 35 in Jammu, 17, 18 in Ladakh. My ex-colleagues from the Airport Authority are there. They'll correct the figures if I'm wrong, but these are the number of flights. All the flights are full. People are also traveling by train and buses, so that you can see, imagine the number of persons. Similar stories of booked hotels, booked flights, and chock-a-block highways are coming from all centers which are, say, 4 or 5 hours from the metros. Say 4 or 5 hours from Hyderabad, 4 or 5 hours from Bangalore, 4 or 5 hours from Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata. It's very difficult to find accommodation on the weekends. People are traveling out, and that has also happened with because of the emphasis on infrastructure and the excellent status of our highways. I have personally experienced, going to Dehradun by road or others used to take much more time. Recently, I went to Hyderabad and I was able to do in 4 hours. Door to door. In Jaipur, people were telling me when they took the new highway, I went by train and I took the Vande Bharat Express, which was again a very good experience. But people who traveled by the highway said it took them only 3.5 hours to go to Jaipur from Delhi, the new highway last week. So these are the changes that are happening, and that has shown that the domestic sector has definitely come back. The international inbound has not improved as much because of various reasons. The war in Europe, high international fares, all flights are still not operational. I'm sure Mr. Goel will have a question on that. All flights coming into the country are still not running. So I have preempted the question. You know that the strength of flights is still not up to the pre-COVID level international flights. So the fares have gone up. You would have children or relatives studying in the US, they must be complaining about high level of economy class and business class fares that now India-US is happening. So that is a dampener for international inbound. But I'm sure that with the numbers going up, with the way industry is coming, and of course the tailwinds that will be provided by the G20 and other steps that will happen, I'm sure that we will get back to international inbound also to the pre-COVID numbers in this calendar year. So I'm very happy to be here today because the tourism sector is, being given a great unparalleled opportunity to share its success stories on the global stage thanks to the G20 presidency. Developing tourism in mission mode under India's G20 presidency, which has started on the 1st of December 22. And in the backdrop of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are working in mission mode with a focus on convergence and public-private partnership. Under India's G20 presidency, more than 200 meetings are being organized at 59 locations. Now, this is something different. Most of the last few presidencies, of course, there was the shadow of the pandemic, but they happened in very few centers. It is only in India that such a large number of centers are being used, which shows that we have the strength to host international conferences and conventions at these places. 100 meetings of the 200 have already taken place. So half of the G20 meetings are already over. The balance 100 meetings and of course the summit in September in New Delhi are left. So India will consolidate the gains from transformation in connectivity and infrastructure, the growing economic power and tremendous improvement in the framework conditions for growth of tourism in the country to promote and develop tourism in mission mode during the next 25 years, that is the Amrit Kaal of India's independence. During this presidency, we in the ministry have planned to organize a number of events, engaging not only the government stakeholders, but also the travel, trade and hospitality sector. We have already organized 2 G20 tourism working group meetings, Siliguri and Run of Kutch, and during these meetings, discussions were held on several key priority areas, and the top 5 priority areas are green tourism, digitalization, skills, tourism, MSMEs, and better destination management centers. The next G20 tourism working group meeting will be held in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, and that will be, which is the jewel of India, and that will be a very important meeting from 22nd to 24th May. After that, we are hopeful that the G20 Tourism Ministers Conference, which will be held in Goa in June, will focus on sustainable tourism to support environment, create opportunities for local businesses. The 2 deliverables that we see from the ministerial are, of course, the ministerial communique, which highlights the consensus among the G20 nations about the future of recovery and revival of the tourism sector, and an additional mission for travel for life in line with the mission for life which India has started along with the UN Secretary General very recently. So we plan to promote green tourism, open up 50 new tourism destinations, and soon launch a publicity campaign in overseas markets during our presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, travel and tourism is one of the world's largest economic sectors, creating export and prosperity around the world. The travel and tourism sector in India generated 70.04 million jobs directly and indirectly in 2021-22, which was a bad year. So hopefully in the future the numbers will go up. Within the Asia Pacific region, India is one of the countries which has shown the fastest rebound. As per the WTTC report, travel and tourism GDP is set to grow globally at an average of 5.8% annually between 2022 and 2032, outpacing the growth of the overall economy, while 2.7%. So the global economy will grow at almost half the rate of the travel and tourism in the next 10 years. And despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, we received 6.19 million foreign tourist travelers in 2022, and this growth rate was over 300%. because the previous year was a very bad year and we had received only 1.52 million tourists. So the high growth rate should be seen with that moderation that the previous year there was a low base effect. So we are aware that in the last few years, tourism development has been helped by the government's its focus on enhancing rail, road and air connectivity to ensure that accessibility to tourist destinations is easy from all corners of the country. You are aware of how the remote areas of the country, the connectivity to the hilly regions, to Jammu and Kashmir, to the northeast is happening. We recommended 59 air routes, tourism air routes to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, of which as on date 51 have been operationalized under UDAN already. We launched the Visit India year 2023, which kicked off on 31st January, and more than 1 lakh G20 foreign delegates will visit India this year. And they will be able to witness the variety, richness and diversity of India's culture, its monuments and festivals. All the earlier speakers were mentioned about the Global Tourism Investors Summit that we are doing in New Delhi. And this is because we are keen to attract not only global investment, but also investment from the domestic sector. When the minister is meeting in Delhi today, he's meeting domestic investors. Tomorrow he flies to Mumbai to meet investors at Mumbai and urge them to participate in the summit and invest more in the tourism and hospitality sector. Recently, one of the CEOs of one of the leading hotel companies called on the Honorable Prime Minister. He was in New Delhi, and if you see, his interviews in the newspapers, a leading business newspaper from Delhi called, and the headline was, "You cannot but be optimistic about India." Now that shows how the global fraternity looks out, or the investing community looks at India. I'm also happy to share that we, in the collaboration with the World Travel and Tourism Council, an organization which works to maximize the inclusive and sustainable potential by partnering with governments, we will organize the WTTC CEOs Forum coinciding with the ministerial meeting at Goa on 21st June. So we expect about 100 global CEOs to be there in Goa and discuss and strategize with the G20 ministers on the way to take tourism to the next level in all parts of the world, including India. So I'm sure that the sessions that you have planned today in the future on investment and how India can be better showcased will lead to meaningful discussions and will have an impact on the thought and the practice of tourism in India. I extend my personal thanks to all the organizers for making me a part of this event, and I wish it a great success, and thank you for patiently hearing me out. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for a very exciting address we had from you. And I would now request General Seth to kindly do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude to all our eminent guests. As a memento, we also present today a book, Bharat Mein Paratan, which is being authored by Sri Mangatram Dasmanaji, sir. And I would now request General Seth to present a memento to our guest of honor, Sri Arvind Singh. General Seth to kindly do the honors, please. That's the book Bharat Mein Paratan, authored by Mangatram Dasmanaji. We present to Sri MP Bes Barwan. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, General Seth. I would request Mr. V.P. Agarwal to do the honors of presenting to Sri Vinod Zutshi, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India. We present to Sri Ajit Bajaj, President, ATOI. And we present to Mrs. Jyoti Mayan, President, TAI and Vice Chairperson, FAIT. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for doing the honors. And ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege of presenting a memento to Mr. Agarwal. And I would now invite Mr. Agarwal to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Let me express my gratitude to Sri Shripad Yeso Nayak, the Honorable Minister of State for Tourism, Government of India, for having agreed to be the chief guest and address the participant. Unfortunately, he could not join us due to pressing commitment at Karnataka. Yet he has sent his recorded message, which was displayed. We thank you, sir, for this gesture. Our Tourism Government of India for having agreed for being part of this event as guest of honor and address the participant. We are grateful to you, sir, and we will continue to bother you post retirement also. So rest assured for that. Shri P. Bezarwa, Shri Vinod Joshi, both former secretaries Tourism Government of India, Mrs. Jyoti Mayal and President Travel Agent Association and Vice President Faith, and Shri Ajit Bajaj, Country Awardee, made it to attend the inaugural session and address the participant. We profoundly thank all of them. Our gratitude to President Fast and Board of Trustees and other eminent dignitaries who, in spite of their busy schedules, have come and graced the occasion. We profoundly thank the media and all participants for being part of this seminar. It is mentioned here that we will be compiling the recommendation emanating from this seminar to the Ministry of Tourism to act as appropriate. We further thank Dr. S. Ravi, Chairman, and Shri Anu Bali, whole-time Director, Tourism Finance Corporation of India, and others for having financially supported this event. We feel obliged to them. Thank you very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, before we close this session, I would request Mr. Agarwal to also present a token of gratitude to President Fast, General State.
For that, you'll need to connect to a Wi-Fi network or install a SIM card.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we once again thank all our distinguished dignitaries for being here with us. And before we go outside and have a cup of tea and coffee, I would invite all our dignitaries and participants to join us outside for a photograph. Post that, we invite you for a cup of tea and coffee, which is the break is of 15 minutes. Outside. Mr. Baba, the photograph outside?
Can we have in here?
First, we have a photograph of the panel on the stage, and then we invite others to join. Ladies and gentlemen, let's once again put our hands together to thank all our distinguished dignitaries for sparing their valuable time and being here with us.